Welcome to the Hoop Chat. I'm Emily Austin, and here with me today is very special guest, Muggsy Bogues. Muggsy is a former NBA player, and fun fact, he was the shortest person to ever play in the NBA, but it doesn't matter because heart over height. Muggsy, thank you so much for joining me.
Thanks for having me.
I'm a little embarrassed to admit, when I was doing my homework a few days ago, I actually found out Muggsy's not your real name, which I can't say is such a surprise. But I wanted to ask you, why did you go with Muggsy if your real name is Tyrone?
Well, I didn't choose that myself. As a kid, growing up in the city of Baltimore, where I'm from, playing basketball as a kid, uh, I was given a nickname from my friends, and they seen the way I was playing the game of basketball, stealing the ball, and they was basically saying you mugging everybody. And at the same time, we
Mugging.
come on every Saturday called the Bowery Boys. And the character, one of the characters was his name was Mugsy. He was the shortest one of the crew. So they kind of
Wow.
character with the way I play game of basketball, and I've been Mugsy ever since I was 7 years old.
I feel like that's such a perfect complimentary nickname. I didn't know there was so much context to it. I thought it just kind of stuck.
Yeah, it's tough. I didn't like it at the beginning. I thought they was talking about my mug, so I didn't really like that.
That's awesome. You mentioned that, before we continue, I was contemplating should I do this now or later. I want to show you this first jersey that I ever got. And I'm not joking. This is the first jersey I ever bought in my life.
No
Show the
way.
camera. Yeah, and you could see I was a little bit thinner when I got it. I was like in middle school, but this is my number one jersey.
Well, we're gonna have to put a signature that.
I wish you could come in studio. I texted your manager, Brittany, and I was like, is there any chance he's coming to New York? And she's like, no, he's in Charlotte. So the Hoop Chat right now is local to Soho, New York, but I would love to bring you on in the future and sign Muggsy jersey, make my life come true.
Absolutely.
So I read that after you were done with the NBA, you decided to go into coaching, which I think is so interesting because that allows you to be on both sides of the spectrum. So what did coaching teach you about being on that other side?
Well, I always felt like I was a coach on the floor. Being the point guard, the extension of the coach, being the one that direct everything and having the ball in your hand 85% of the time. So I always felt like I was a coach in my entire time. But when I finished playing, I mean, teaching has always been a passion for me. Being able to work with some of the younger kids, the youth, teaching them how to be a student athlete, giving them some of the gems and some of the knowledge that I was able to obtain growing up and going through that process. Try to make it a little easier for them to understand what they need to navigate through. And then also, got an opportunity to coach the women WNB as well, and
Wow.
working with the ladies, and being so professional and getting the opportunity to really see behind the scenes, what they all endure, and what they all put themselves through, and how they conduct themselves as professionals. And mainly, it's a little different from the men's game. The women focus mainly on the fundamentals aspect of the game, and which is a thing I think the guys should really take a guidance towards, because the fundamental aspect of it, and the men's always rely so much on the athletic ability. Sometimes they get you into trouble.
Wow, men, take notes. Interesting. Well, it seems like you've definitely accumulated plenty of life experience, which I'm sure reflects in your book. Why don't you tell us more about a book that you recently published?
Well, this is my second one. My first one,
Oh,
Anna Johnson, '93. That's when my father passed away, and my one of my good friends, Reggie Lewis, had passed away. But this one, the second one, where we, as you just alluded to, um, it was more of what I went through and how I impacted some of the players, and some of the relationships I was able to obtain, and relationships that I had with my wife as well. The things that we went through, and some of and how I impacted their lives as well as how they impacted my life. So this the second one was mainly, to put something positive out there. At the time, we was going through COVID, and I wanted to really have something really positive would give folks some hope that they can believe that anything is possible. So we was fortunate enough to get Stephen Curry and Alonzo Mourning to do the forwarding on my book.
wow.
And actually, I have it sitting right there. Yeah, right there. Muggsy Bogues. the man right there, the project.
So wow, that's great. I'm gonna read it. I do want a signed copy though. I'm a big reader, honestly. We're gonna get into that a little bit. You just mentioned Steph and Lonzo, but before we go there, I wanted to hit some current events with you. What do you think about the Hornets drafting Brandon Miller?
I believe it was a good fit for the Hornets. I think him and LaMelo Ball, and when Miles Bridges come back, I think they will complement each other. Even though I did like Scoot Henderson, he was getting a lot coming out, and rightfully so. But I think him and Melo will need the ball in their hands, and I think that would be a conflict, probably bumping heads with one another with them two together. With Brandon and Miles, I think they complement Melo's game, and I think they will, flourish together moving forward.
The only issue I see is the fact that now we have two Mellos. So now when people say it, I'm like, hey, are we talking Carmelo or LaMelo? Because this is like old school versus the new generation of the NBA, and it's a little confusing for me.
I understand that as well, because Carmelo, he's from Baltimore, and we used to say Melo. So now with the younger generations, they're thinking they're talking about LaMelo Ball when you say Melo. So I think each era has his own. So I will give it to LaMelo Ball this time around for giving him that Melo era.
Yeah, definitely. This offseason has been obsessed with trying to figure out where Damian Lillard is heading. Where do you think he's going to end up? Do you think his wishes will be granted? Do you think his wishes are appropriate? I want to hear your thoughts.
Well, I think his wishes are definitely appropriate. I mean, Damian Lillard has given Portland everything he has and more. And I think them going through a rebuilding stage should do him a favor in terms of allow him to go on and possibly, have an opportunity to play for a championship. He requested to go to Miami, so that's where he wants to land. I think that will be an unbelievable place to be, considering what they all have there, the culture that they have with Pat Riley and them created. So, and Jimmy Butler, I think it would be a good mix if he really, wind up in Miami.
I definitely agree. It's just interesting to me that it seems like only one team is the end goal. And I can't help but to think, what if there's just no synergy? What if they can't make it work? I don't want another James Harden situation where you go to a team and you're just unhappy and you don't want to fulfill your obligations because you expected something different. So that's the part where I'm a little torn.
Well, I mean, you just tapped on something that's everybody's been thinking about as well. I mean, other opportunity, other teams, just not limit yourself to one team. And I'm quite sure quite a few other teams that will like to be in that conversation. Philly is one of them. That would be a good mix with him and Joel Embiid together. But who knows what would always happen behind closed doors when people start to talk about numbers and players and what all matches and what all fits. So we'll see what all happens in this near future.
Yes, we will. Absolutely. This next segment is called the Austin Awards. And what I'm going to give you now is a ranking, and I need you to rank first being your favorite, third being your least favorite. I just sent you a photo of 3 jerseys, being the 90s Jazz jersey, the 90s Hornets jersey, and the 90s Suns jersey. And I want you to pick your favorite in order 1 to 3.
I'm going to pick the Hornets first, though. You know that, right?
A little bit of biasness, but I could respect that.
Yeah, because I like that. The Hornets are always going to be first. And you got the Jazz. And who else is that?
The Suns.
Phoenix. Well, Jazz is last.
Yeah.
Yeah, I got the Suns. Yeah, the Jazz is last.
So Hornets, Suns, Jazz. Okay, that's fair. I definitely do like the Hornets one too, and it's not just because I have you on today.
I mean, I'm not that biased, but I just love them. Yeah, I just love those colors.
Yeah, honestly, they're very nice. I mean, that jersey that I just showed you has been my most worn jersey for sure.
I got that jersey hanging up in my basement too.
I'm sure you do. How not?
That color, that was that jersey.
Yeah, look, great minds think alike. When I posted that I was interviewing you, I think I actually got more requests for questions than any other person I've had on, reasonably so. So instead of coming up with my own questions, I love to get the fans involved and I want to ask you what the fans want to ask you. So I'm going to get right into it. First person wants to know, can you still dunk?
Absolutely not.
Oh man.
That 44-inch vertical now is down to 4.
What if like you really try?
If I really, really tried, I could get the nets.
Okay, that's fair.
I'm old.
Um,
I'm old now.
it doesn't matter. You proved everyone wrong with the height. Now you can do it with the age. Maybe you can make a return. Who knows?
I
Defying all
know.
the odds.
I don't want to prove them wrong anymore.
You just don't care anymore. Second question. In the 90s, outside of the Chicago Bulls, who was the most difficult team you've had to play against?
Outside of the Bulls in the 90s, who was the most difficult team to play? Um, Let me see. New York was tough.
New
New
York
York,
was tough. Wow.
York was tough. Yeah, Patrick and those guys. Those was tough because they was in the East. And they had to go through, and we all had to go through Chicago. So
Mm.
90s were pretty much on the East for me. It was I'll say New York.
Wow, interesting. I'm sure the Knicks fans will love that. Do you have any funny moments of Steph as a kid? That
I
laugh,
got
I think, answers the question right there.
Yeah, I got too many moments with Steph as a kid. He My son birthday party. They was what 4 years old, 5 years old, and Bonnie was big. The dinosaur Bonnie, the movie Bonnie. So Del Curr, his dad, dressed up because our theme was Bonnie, and he dressed up as Bonnie.
Wow. Oh my, Steph did or his dad?
Steph dad, Del
Oh
Curry,
my god.
dressed up as Bonnie.
Wait, I need a photo of this. I need a photo.
Actually, I got it on video, but I can't.
Oh my god.
The crazy thing, and while Dell was being Bonnie, and of course the suit wasn't fit for a 6'6" guy, and
Yeah.
then Stephen being Stephen, and he just looked at Bonnie like, "Is that my dad?" So he almost ruined the whole theme, but he wasn't too sure. But he looked at it like, "Is that my dad?"
How
But
old
yeah,
is he?
yeah, we got all kinds of moments with Steph. Of course, me giving him a little airplane ride in the locker room when he was a kid.
Wow.
Him here with the clowns, with his face painted, with the balloons all on his head. Yeah, Steph he was a little hoot as a kid.
Did you have any idea watching him at that age that he would become the Steph Curry that we all know now?
Absolutely not. Absolutely not. Even when he was in high school, I mean, watching Steph always been around the game of basketball. He's been like a sponge, soaking up all that information. Dell and I are fortunate enough to play 11 years out of my 14 years together. 9 here in Charlotte and 2 in Toronto. And Steph been around us the entire time. And him just being able to, like I say, be that sponge and then have an opportunity to really, showcase it and nobody believing how.
Last fan question, and this one is my personal favorite. What are your thoughts on having a better offensive rebound percentage than Kevin Durant?
Well, even though I was a small guard, but I always got those long rebounds. I chased them down. I was in the right place at the right time, but I didn't know I had more. My percentage was better than Kevin Durant.
Yeah, you have 2.3%, and he has 2.2%. So
That's
there's that.
need to get in there and rebound a little more.
Yeah. Or you were just fantastic.
I can't wait to when I see him. I'm gonna bring that up to his attention too.
Oh, yeah, I can't believe I just taught you something. I'm so honored.
Of learning every day.
Absolutely. The last segment before my guests go, I love to end it off on a fun note and we play a game. So for you, I called this segment the GOAT game. I'm gonna give you a topic and you have to tell me a player in your time playing in the NBA that was the GOAT of the topic. So, who was the trash talking GOAT?
Well, that's easy. MJ, Michael. I say in my position, I would give it to Gary Payton.
Okay.
Payton, at my position, he talked a lot, and everybody loved that about GP.
Do you remember something he would say? I love the tea. I need it.
His thing with me, I'm gonna pick him up full court. So little fella, you pick me up full court, I'm gonna take you down in the post. So that type of stuff that he gonna take me in the post if I don't pick him up full court. So we went back and forth and that sort of thing. But that was him. And Michael was the biggest trash talk of them all in terms of that just brought his game to a whole new level.
Wow. Was there ever a moment where someone actually got through to you?
Got through to me.
Like everyone says, oh, we don't pay attention, it's part of the game, but I think we all know that's not true.
Oh, they got to me? No, no, no. Nobody got to me. I mean, that is part of the game. I mean, that's how we grew up, and luckily
Yeah.
for our era, I mean, back in our era, we left it all on the court.
Wow. Today it's interesting with social media just being so prominent. I feel like it's hard to leave things on the court when everything that's on the court's online and haunts you forever. So it's just like unprecedented times.
Yeah, yeah. Luckily for us, and fortunate for us, we didn't have to go through all that. We got stuff that was in delay. People heard about it weeks afterwards, as
Wow.
instantly, and then that can make a big difference in one's lives.
Yeah, I've never had a time in my life, I'm 22, where anything's been delayed. Everything's just instant, instant, instant. I always say, wherever cyber hacked, we're done. Like, we don't know how to like live anymore without instant gratification. But that's a philosophical conversation we could have off the Zoom.
Yeah, y'all era. If it ain't posted, it ain't happened.
Exactly.
Who is the GOAT of shooting?
The go to shooting. Well, in my era, I'm gonna say it was Del Curry. You know, even though
Father
Reg,
like son.
even though Reggie Miller was a great shooter as well, and we had Craig Hodges and those guys, but I played with Dell and I saw it behind the scenes, the effortless in terms of how he was able to shoot that basketball. So I'm gonna give it to my guy Dell,
Wow, interesting. So not such a shocker to see where Steph ended up.
and I'm gonna keep it in the family until and in today's era is Stephen.
His son's gonna have very high expectations growing up. Third generation straight shooter. Who is the fashion GOAT?
And I'm gonna say it was me. You know,
Oh, I'm gonna need proof of that.
and you go back. I used to put it together. We used to have a contest when we came in our locker room in terms of who was the best dressed. And
Wow.
yeah, you go back and ask all our old teammates, the Del Currys, the Alonzo Mournings, the Larry Johnson, the Kendall Gills, the David, anybody who played with us, they'll tell you who was the guy.
And it was you.
It was me. It was me.
You know what? I'm gonna take you up on that. I'm gonna interview one of them. I'm gonna ask them this, and I'll get back to you. But I need some receipts. I'm gonna do some Googling. But if you have any fire fits, I'm gonna edit them into this video. So send them my way.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. I mean, and our drip was a little different than it is today.
I think it's coming back.
Yeah, when we had our baggies, our was a little loose. Everything wasn't so tightly fitted as people
Yeah.
were today's, society.
Yeah, true.
Yeah.
Who is the GOAT of telling jokes?
For me, it was David Wingate.
Okay.
David Wingate was one of the funniest human beings we ever been around.
Any funny memories?
I mean, I grew up with him and then had the opportunity to play with him in the NBA. And he always just kept everybody all on their toes. And, it could be a facial expression, it could be something that comes out of his mouth. I mean, it's always something about David Wingate.
Interesting. Not the answer I expected, but good to know. And last but not least, who is the GOAT of being a player? And I don't mean on the court.
A player?
Player.
Oh,
Someone I wouldn't like.
I can't throw nobody under the bus.
No, throw them right under the bus.
He was a player like
That's
the.
in the past now. It's all good.
I know, but I can't. I mean, because you know things even back then still travels to this day, where people see that like, he was doing what back what. You know, I can't revive. I can't. You know, I can't I can't reveal that.
Fair, that's fair. Snitches get stitches. I get it.
Know about it. You know about it.
Yeah, whatever. It's my job to try to get it out of you. But hey, you're a real one.
Yeah, yeah. I'm gonna stay true to that.
Mugsy, thank you so much for joining me today on the Hoop Chat. It was such an honor for me to talk to someone like you, and I really appreciate your time.
Emily, thank you for having me. My daughter do talks very highly of you, so it's an
Oh,
honor.
she's an angel. I was so happy when she told me she manages your stuff. I'm like, yes, then I'll get it.
It's awesome. Yeah.
Have an amazing day. Thank you again.
You have a great day as well. Thank you.